Good morning, everybody. Got your coffee? I've got mine. Nectar of the gods. Before I get started today, because there are things to say, I want to say thank you to some people who made shit shake. Okay? I want to say thank you to Vincent. Vincent, thank you so much. Always so supportive, as always. And to Trenda, and to the Spiritual Savage, and to Angela, and to Stephanie. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping the library pantry get coloring books, STEM Viewmasters, more sports equipment. In the event that anyone is interested, we do need more juice for the kids. And even though the kids, they like those plain Rice Krispies treats, um, they respond better to the confetti box. That's the box with the confetti, the chocolate, the strawberry. I didn't even know those things came in flavors until I just stumbled across and grabbing the next box, because I FIFO everything that comes in. And in grabbing the next box, I realized they were different from the other boxes. And those go really, 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 really fast. So they like the flavored Rice Krispie treats, just in case anyone cares. But anyway, thank you so much, people. I appreciate you. I do. We have the second library pantry in place. I'm gonna fill it today. It's sealed. I had to wait for the pollen to die down here in South Carolina before I could seal it and then put it in place and make it operational. Something did happen to the vinyl lettering during shipment. They shipped it with something else that I had, and I guess it spilled all over it, and they refunded both those monies back for my personal item and then for those vinyl letterings. So we don't have any vinyl letterings on there, but it's painted green and it's sealed and it's there, and they get the point. Okay? Amen. Amen. All right. Let's get going. I talk about being someone. Well, before we get going on that, over in the room, there's this great conversation going on about the Statue of Liberty and why the Statue of Liberty was actually commissioned. I mean, I knew this history, but I don't think that a lot of Black people in America understand that the Statue of Liberty was commissioned not to celebrate more white people coming into the nation, immigrating into America, but it was to celebrate the ending of slavery and the liberty that Black people, the liberation that we received when slavery ended. That's what she was about. And there's a whole discussion going on about those chains that white people didn't want on that statue to be seen. So I will leave the link to the room in the comments. But remember, the room is a safe place for Black people to have these discussions, and not everyone is going to be able to get into the room. Your profile on Facebook has to be more than a year old, and we have to be able to identify that, yes, you are a Black person, and not only are you a Black person, but that your ideology and principles are in alignment with the rest of us. Okay? Sometimes Black people are going to be denied entry because I can't tell if you're Black or you're white, or the people who approve for me. Sometimes I have a couple trusted people in my real life that I'll hand my phone to when I'm doing something, and I'll say, can you do this if I get a little backed up? And they understand what the rules are. So I need you all to understand what the rules are too. The rules are the rules, and it is to keep people who are in that room safe, because believe it or not, there are white people who will pretend to be Black in order to get in that room and just to see what Black people doing or talking about. You've never seen Black people create profiles in order to hunt or antagonize white people, but they do it to us all the time. And so we have to have these rules in place to keep that space safe for that kind of dialogue. Okay? And it is what it is. So anyway, I talk a lot about, well, actually I don't, that's the point. I don't talk a lot about being a licensed gun carrier, that tends to trigger small-minded men. They get so upset. They say that you're bragging about being a gun carrier and you're bragging about your guns. If you want to upset a small, toxic, hyper-masculine man, red pill man, tell him as a woman how many firearms you have. Oh, my goodness. And it's the thought that a woman, who a lot of men perceive as being rabbits. Not all of us are rabbits. Not all of us walk around unprotected. We don't. And because so many men are predatory in nature, it triggers them the mere thought that you may stumble upon the wrong sister, or you may fuck around and find out. Basically, let me stop being diplomatic about it and just put it out there. But as someone, I've carried for decades legally in the state of Michigan and now here in the state of South Carolina, and for a little while in the state of Ohio. And let me tell you, Black people, we have to be careful, because stand your ground does not work for us the same way that it works for white people. Okay? Stand your ground. The only time that I've ever really seen that successfully used for Black people is when it comes to other Black people. We are allowed to safeguard our bodies from each other, but we are not allowed to safeguard our bodies from white people, because white people hold no value over our bodies. Look at what they do to our bodies and to us. Historically and now in 2025, and what they continue to do. And so we are expected, we have permission to defend ourselves from other Black members, but not them. Not them, because they still feel very much entitled to our bodies. And even when they are brutalizing them and causing harm to them, we should not have the right to defend our bodies against their hatred and their violence. And that brings me to what is going on to this 17-year-old child, Carmelo Anthony, who is charged with this crime. And I wanted to know what I was talking about, so I did a very deep dive. And as someone who has studied stand your ground laws in 3 different states, what he did was stand his ground. That was self-defense. It was 100% self-defense. He was doing nothing wrong. He was antagonizing, bullying, harassing, harming no one. He was just seeking shelter from the rain. And then he told that boy, that white child, that white boy, not to touch him, not to harm him, to leave him alone multiple times. And he didn't. They didn't. And they intended to harm him. And he defended himself from them. That's what happened. Well, his family started a GoFundMe. White people, because of their racism, the stand your ground crowd had it taken down, because Black people were systematically raising that $1 million bond they gave this baby for standing his ground. $1 million. You know how much they gave that white nurse that was breaking the bones of those Black babies in the ICU? $25,000. That was her bond. This kid was defending himself. He was standing his ground. It was self-defense. George Zimmerman chased down Trayvon Martin even when 911 dispatch told him not to do that. And then he shot him and killed him and murdered him and got off on stand your ground. Kyle Rittenhouse took a high-powered weapon, assault rifle, to where he knew black people were going to be protesting, murdered people, and got off on stand your ground. Daniel Penny, who choked out Jordan Neely in a subway. Jordan Neely, who, mind you, was in the grips of a mental health crisis, choked him out and got off on self-defense. Stand your ground. So if you're going to carry a firearm, especially in today's racial climate, make sure that your aim is true and blue and in more ways than one. Because they don't mean that we can stand our ground against them. The laws, and I've been saying it to black people for years, as a licensed carrier, they do not work the same for us as they do for them. Those laws are not meant for us. Those laws are meant for them. Clearly for them, when they want to brutalize our bodies, when they want to cause us harm, when they want to continue to lynch us in streets and in subways. Those laws were meant for them, not for us. So if you are going to carry, make sure before you use lethal force that you absolutely, positively have to use lethal force. Because at the end of the day, better judged by 12 than carried by 6. That's at the end of any day. But make sure you know what you're doing out there. Now, when it comes to this child, this baby that they done locked up for defending himself, we're going to figure out a way around it. Racist white people, racist white America. Who's so insecure you couldn't stand to see the chains that represented the freedom of black people here in America. You had to whitewash that truth too. Because America is who she is. She is a racist liar. We're going to raise that money. I don't give a damn if we have to Cash App her directly. Venmo her directly. We're going to get him out. We're going to figure it out. You stop nothing. For you, it's about one of them killing one of you. For us, it's about locking up our baby who defended himself from one of you animals, one of you racist animals that feel entitled to do us harm, to mistreat us, to kill us. That is all that I have for today. We will find a way. Do something nice for someone today. Be righteous. Help your fellow brother or sister. We need community now more than ever, black people. Stop harming your own people, black people. Bring your people in. Show your people how to get things done. And for those of you all, you black people, who have a very hard time being in community with other black people, let me tell you, y'all need to figure that out and figure it out fast, because this is just the start of things. Like I told you all back last summer, they are coming for us. This is what we are resting for. Get in touch with your people. Get in community with your people. Because what Donald Trump did the other day, the way he robbed America, and America is sitting back and letting that happen, that is going to have an effect on us. Thank goodness for Black financial advisors and planners. Amen. Amen. This man committed securities fraud in front of the whole world. Insider trading. This is why they moved all their people into positions of power. Federal judges, Supreme Court judges. That's why they're in charge of everything. And billionaires just became richer because he crashed the stock market and told them to buy low. That is insider trading. That was a crime. And nobody's doing anything about it. Eventually, it's going to hit our community. And that's why you got to get in community with your people. And I'm not fear-mongering. For those of you all who want to just ignore what I'm saying, go ahead on and ignore it peacefully. But I'm not fear-mongering. I'm merely telling you the truth. Get in community with your people. You're going to need them. We're going to need them. With that being said, I'll meet you all in the room so we can further this discussion, plan and strategize, and talk about what we're going to do about it. Okay? Have a good day. Have a righteous day. Do something nice for a Black person today. And if you would like to donate to the Library Pantry or to this platform, I will leave my Cash App and Venmo down in the comments. Have a good day.